Hills presents Intellivision, intelligent television by Mattel. More sophisticated than any video game that has come before.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at every one of these perfect magic boxes that have ever been released and judging them heavily and probably unfairly. This is every video game console ranked. Technically, we may not have every console on this list, but we focused on the 31 biggest in the industry. Let's go. Before we continue, we publish content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of our latest videos. Magnavox Odyssey.
What does your family do on those stay indoors rainy afternoons? Or on those cold, blustery winter days?
The Magnavox Odyssey was the first ever video game console, preceding even Atari Pong, which many have forgotten. A blend of analog and digital circuitry, it marked the true beginning of home gaming. Despite lacking color output or sound, the Odyssey still sold over 300,000 units. It featured a cartridge system, simple box-shaped controllers, and it also introduced the first home light gun, preceding the NES. Its game library consisted of basic, single-function titles like baseball, basketball, and ski. Take a guess what you do in those games. Due to the system's simplicity, no third-party games were ever developed for it. I guess that's why God of War had to wait a few years.
Also available as an option is this special organizer case with separate compartments designed to hold all games and equipment.
Atari Jaguar.
Sega Genesis is 16 bits, 3DO is 32 bits, the Atari Jaguar is 64 bits.
The lesser known by today's standards, Atari Jaguar released around the same time as the SNES. While the SNES boasted cutting-edge 16-bit technology, the Jaguar touted unprecedented 64-bit processing power, making it the first of its kind in the home market. Marketing hype aside, the Jaguar was indeed powerful for its generation, offering superior 2D and 3D capabilities compared to its rivals. Yet somehow it didn't stand the test of time, as Sony and Sega were on the horizon with the PlayStation and the Saturn. I'd hate to be in the console war and see the PlayStation coming over the horizon. Just put the sword down and run. Atari 5200.
Here's Pac-Man on ColecoVision. But here's Pac-Man for the Atari 5200 Super System. Now you're talking.
The Atari 5200 was originally designed and marketed as Atari's response to the Intellivision, but after its 1982 release, it found itself in direct competition with the ColecoVision, which launched the same year. While its processor outshone the Intellivision, the ColecoVision's impressive 3.58 MHz processor ultimately took the trophy from Atari while it was still warm from the Intellivision's hands. That became a common theme in the 80s and 90s. While someone had the title of top of the industry, 5 other companies were working on improving upon that leader, and they all released at the same time. It was an all-out brawl. .3DO.
Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system?
The .3DO may not have been a financial success, but it still made a lasting impact on the gaming industry. Released by Panasonic in 1993, the $3DO interactive multiplayer was a 32-bit disc-based console with the hardware power to compete with the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. However, it was $700. $3DO, chill. Despite its high cost, the $3DO featured an impressive range of peripherals and could support up to 8 controllers, as well as expansions like memory cards, modems, and video cartridges. While it lacked a strong lineup of exclusives, it offered some of the best versions of major franchise ports, including Super Street Fighter II Turbo. It also introduced key innovations such as daisy-chainable controllers and built-in surround sound support, helping to push gaming technology forward. Magnavox Odyssey 2.
Part of the all-new computer video game Odyssey 2 from Magnavox. Lots of multi-game cartridges, sports games, football. You've never seen anything quite like it.
We spoke about the Magnavox Odyssey 1 earlier, as it began the industry selling 300,000 units. If you want to understand its impact on the industry, the Magnavox Odyssey 2 sold 2 million units. Boom! Improvement. The Odyssey 2 adopted many of the industry standards of the time, including interchangeable cartridges and one-button joystick. While its resolution was lower than the Atari 2600, it offered notable advantages, such as built-in full keyboard for programming and educational software, as well as an optional speech synthesizer. The system had a larger game library than its predecessor, with over 50 titles, including KC Munchkin, a popular Pac-Man clone. Despite those innovations, the Odyssey 2 never achieved the same level of success as the Atari 2600. Neo Geo. Unlike other home consoles of the time, the Neo Geo home console, the AES, was identical to its arcade counterpart, the MVS, making it vastly superior to the Super NES and Sega Genesis in both graphics and sound. However, this power came at a steep price, $800, with individual games costing upwards of $200 each. I mean, that's more expensive than today. The justification? Storage size. While Super NES and Genesis cartridges typically maxed out at 16 megabits, Neo Geo games could reach a staggering 330 megabits. Due to its high cost, few retailers were willing to stock the Neo Geo AES, and it faded from the market within 2 years. Atari 7800.
Video game team.
When I'm not going for high scores in the arcades, I'm home playing games on my Atari 7800. As an expert, I like the 7800 because there are great arcade hits like Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong Jr.
The Atari 7800, Atari 2600, Atari 5200. Am I the only person who thinks Atari has the worst branding manager of all time? That bastard should have been fired. Originally intended as the successor to the Atari 5200 in 1984, the 7800 was shelved when Atari's new owners shifted focus to the computer market. It wasn't until 1986, following the rise of Nintendo and Sega in the US with the NES and Master System, that Atari finally brought the 7800 to market. However, by then, much of its technology was already outdated. Again, terrible business decision. Atari marketed the 7800 as a budget-friendly system, with many games selling for under $20. Visually, it was capable, but its sound capabilities were underwhelming. Compounding its struggles, Nintendo's strict third-party exclusivity agreements made it difficult for Atari to secure developers. Decent console, bad business. TurboGrafx-16.
The next generation video game system. It's 4 times faster, so the games are more exciting.
In 1987, NEC found massive success in Japan with the PC Engine, a console that frequently outsold the Famicom, Japan's NES. Hoping to replicate the success in North America, NEC rebranded the system as the TurboGrafx-16 and positioned it as a competitor to Nintendo and Sega. However, the console struggled to gain traction in the US market. Maybe because they changed the simple name of the NEC, the NEC, to TurboGrafx-16 or TurboGrafx-16. I truly believe if I had a time machine, I could be the Don Draper of video game marketing in the 80s. Its pack-in game, Keith Courage in Alpha Zones, was a largely unknown title, whereas Genesis owners got Altered Beast, a well-known arcade hit that closely resembled its coin-op counterpart. The console's hardware also worked against it. While marketed as a 16-bit system, it was underpowered compared to the Genesis. It even lacked a second controller port. Players had to buy a separate peripheral just to enjoy 2-player games. Unsurprisingly, the TurboGrafx-16 fell to 4th place behind the NES, Super NES, and Genesis, and it never recovered. Wii U.
This is how you'll play next, using the all-new Wii U gamepad controller.
Finally, a console some of you might have heard of, making me feel really old. The Wii U was ahead of its time. In recent years, handheld cloud devices have emerged, allowing players to stream games from their consoles or PCs without monopolizing the TV. But Nintendo pioneered this concept first, and arguably did it the best. While not without flaws, the Wii U gamepad wasn't nearly as bad as its critics claimed in 2012. Nintendo clearly refined the idea with their next console, but the core concept was still innovative. Unfortunately, the Wii U suffered from a short lifespan and weak third-party support, resulting in a limited game library. I'm sick of pretending, I'm gonna say it, damn it. I love my Wii U. Xbox One.
Xbox on. So, I look forward to my downtime. Xbox, go to Titanfall. This is insane.
Designed more like a streamlined PC than a traditional console, the Xbox One featured multi-core AMD processors, HDR and 4K video support, cloud storage, game streaming, and a wide range of multimedia capabilities, but none of you care about that. What exclusives does it have? In addition to stunning versions of multi-platform hits like The Witcher 3, Assassin's Creed Origins, and Fallout 4, the console also delivered standout exclusives such as Forza Horizon 4, Sea of Thieves, and Halo 5. Unfortunately, PS4 had God of War, Spider-Man, The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, Bloodborne, Uncharted, Persona, Ghost of Tsushima, Ratchet & Clank. I'll shut up now. In many ways, it remained a state-of-the-art system throughout its lifespan, and as the system began to show its age, the Xbox One S and Xbox One X refreshes arrived, enhancing its power and performance. Intellivision.
Hills presents Intellivision, intelligent television by Mattel.
Intellivision, a blend of the words intelligent and television, entered the market as a major competitor to the Atari 2600. Technologically, Intellivision was a step ahead of the Atari 2600. They also secured high-profile licenses to enhance their game library, including official sports games for MLB, NFL, NHL, and NBA, as well as a series of Tron-based games to coincide with the release of the film. Brilliant. While the Intellivision never dethroned the Atari 2600 as the dominant system of the era, it introduced several noteworthy innovations. Along with its superior graphics, the system offered a speech add-on for games and even pioneered the concept of downloadable games with the Play Cable, a test-marketed service that distributed Intellivision titles via cable television. I don't need to tell you how innovative this feature was. Xbox Series X and S.
What's good? Hey.
I promise, there's no ill intent in the placement of this list because the Xbox Series X and S are wonderful consoles, but there are a lot of consoles out there and they had to fit in somewhere. Ultimately, the hardware is strong and the controller is great, but there still aren't enough standout exclusives to justify investing in this console over the PS5. I'm sorry. I wanted to do whatever I could to not bring up the rivalry, but as we've seen, rivalries have been fundamental to the console wars since 1972. Sega Master System.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video game, the Sega Master System.
The Sega Master System was the console that almost made it. Despite being technically superior to the dominant NES, it lacked one crucial element: Mario. Without this iconic character and with Sonic still 5 years away from debuting, the Master System lagged far behind the NES during the 8-bit era. Sega did, however, release plenty of solid original titles, including Alex Kidd in Miracle World and the iconic Phantasy Star. But due to Nintendo's exclusive deals, the Master System saw limited third-party support, and software releases were frustratingly slow, with months often passing between major games. Can you imagine that today? Despite its small audience, the Master System has remained beloved by a loyal fanbase. Thankfully, the setbacks faced by the Master System didn't stop Sega from moving forward, leading to the Genesis. Sega Saturn.
I have arranged for you to meet my companion. He will lead you.
Jumping past the Genesis, we're looking at the Sega Saturn. The system made a splash at the 1995 Electronic Entertainment Expo with a surprise launch, hitting the market 4 months earlier than the initial plan. Sega aimed to beat Sony to the punch before the PlayStation was released that holiday season. Although the Saturn ultimately lost the popularity battle to both Sony and Nintendo, it hosted a collection of classic titles that highlighted Sega's innovative software during its early years. More than anything, the Saturn became a gem for importers and hardcore gamers. Its architecture, which made it less suited for 3D games like Tomb Raider, was no match for the PlayStation. But Saturn owners knew it was the best system to play the finest versions of many 2D fighters. So while you don't get Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, and Metal Gear Solid, you get 2D fighters. What a trade. PlayStation 3.
Dear PlayStation, my grandma won't stop watching Blu-ray movies on my PS3.
The PlayStation 3, alongside the Xbox 360, revolutionized online gaming by setting new standards for accessibility and functionality. Gone were the days when everything you played had to be on a disc, and for better or worse, this generation was one of the biggest for innovation. With services like the PlayStation Network, players could now purchase and enjoy complete games without ever leaving their couch. Plus, the rise of downloadable content allowed games to expand in exciting new ways. The PS3's game library was impressive, and similar to how the PlayStation 2 popularized DVDs, the PlayStation 3 brought Blu-ray players into millions of homes, helping it secure Blu-ray's victory over the HD DVD in the high-definition format war. The console took a certain beating publicly in the console wars, but has retroactively become more appreciated.
Yeah, sure, but it's complicated. Look, all right, just hear me out on this. I got
Nintendo GameCube. Nintendo's small purple cube-shaped GameCube often faces criticism for its toy-like appearance and lack of certain technical features found in competing systems, such as digital output. However, despite its cute exterior, the GameCube was a powerful console that delivered an impressive array of unforgettable games. It marked a significant shift for Nintendo. While Sony marketed the sleek PlayStation 2 as a high-tech home media device, Nintendo marketed the GameCube as a simple, family-friendly gaming console, a shift that stuck throughout the rest of Nintendo's history. In total, the GameCube sold around 22 million units worldwide, about 118 million fewer than the PlayStation 2. Despite its sales numbers, the GameCube boasted a lineup of remarkable games such as Resident Evil 4, F-Zero GX, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, and Pikmin 1 and 2. PlayStation 5. It's hard to judge both the Xbox Series X and S and PS5 against these other consoles, as their historical impact hasn't been recognized yet, but I feel comfortable placing this mammoth smack bang in the middle because I use it basically every single day. The PS5 boasts the best controller of any current gen console and has a sleek design, though it requires a bit of space to truly appreciate its size. Its launch was hindered by production delays, resulting in limited availability for several years. It was one of the shakiest releases of a console to date, but it stood up strong despite this. Or laid down on its side despite this, whatever. ColecoVision.
On ColecoVision, you already own a powerful state-of-the-art computer that gives you the arcade experience with the newest arcade games like Donkey Kong Jr.
As Atari 2600 and Mattel Intellivision began to age, toy manufacturer Coleco, known for its plug-and-play Pong clones and licensed handheld games, entered the market in 1982 with its own console, the ColecoVision. The system became famous for its exceptional ability to replicate popular arcade games at home. Coleco secured the rights to produce home versions of successful arcade hits, and the ColecoVision's powerful hardware allowed for remarkably accurate adaptations, far superior to what Atari 2600 or Intellivision could offer. The video game crash of 1983 severely impacted ColecoVision. Turns out, when you're beating Atari at basketball, they just release ET and take their ball home. PlayStation 4.
Just a perfect day.
Drink sangria in the park.
Built on similar technology as the Xbox One and released almost concurrently, the PS4 saw Sony focus primarily on games rather than multimedia features, quickly gaining the upper hand in the PR battle with Microsoft. With its excellent controller, significantly enhanced online infrastructure, and seamless sharing and streaming features, it proved to be an innovative system. However, its true strength lies in its impressive lineup of first and second-party games. Titles like Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, Marvel's Spider-Man, God of War, Bloodborne, and Death Stranding all push the boundaries of video games. And I know I already said most of these during Xbox One's entry, but it was so good, I had to do it again. I loved my PS4, and I bet you guys did too. Xbox. The original Xbox marked Microsoft's entry into the console gaming world, and for a first entry, Jesus was it good. While its design wasn't the most attractive and its game library wasn't the largest, it set the stage for many of today's gaming standards. The Xbox made two major contributions to gaming: Halo and Xbox Live. N64 fans might argue that GoldenEye pioneered first-person shooters on consoles, but it was Halo that truly modernized the genre. Nearly every FPS since has adopted its control scheme and a modified version of its health system. What Halo really excelled at, though, was introducing the first console-based 16-player LAN battles. It was the first shooter that made PC gamers envious, signaling the start of a shift in the genre. The second key contribution, Xbox Live, laid the foundation for the beloved service we see on Xbox 360. I had a PS2 and I was still jealous of my Xbox friends. Atari 2600.
I'll blow this town to smithereens! Time bomb! Try to get up there in time, Spider-Man! Watch me cut my web, Goblin!
This is the console that laid the foundation for our entire industry. While it nearly pushed video games to the brink in its later years, the Atari 2600 was undeniably phenomenal at the height of its success, serving as the catalyst for a new era of entertainment. Atari quickly secured licenses for popular arcade games like Space Invaders, Missile Command, and Pac-Man, solidifying its dominance in American living rooms. By 1982, the 2600 had become a $2 billion business for Atari. However, the rapid success was part of the problem, and no game reflects this more than E.T., a licensed title rushed to market after only 5 years of development. You guys know what this game did to the industry, so let's skip over that and focus on how good the Atari 2600 was before this moment. Nintendo Wii.
We would like to play.
The Nintendo 64 and GameCube were solid, reliable consoles with strong game libraries and excellent support, but the growing competition from Microsoft and Sony made it hard for Nintendo to replicate the victories it had enjoyed with the NES and Super NES. Nintendo decided to change course and offer a fresh gaming experience that strayed from the norm. Enter the Nintendo Wii, a system that focused more on user interaction than on delivering high-definition graphics or surround sound. The biggest shift wasn't just in games we played, but in the way we played them. The goal was to create something intuitive that anyone could pick up and enjoy, and bundling Wii Sports with the system was a marketing decision that should go down in history with the greatest business moves of all time. Sega Genesis / Mega Drive.
16-bit arcade graphics.
The Genesis earned its reputation for having a standout library across nearly every genre, with support from Electronic Arts giving it an edge in the sports category, the bloodier Mortal Kombat, and what some consider the greatest controller ever made, the 6-button model. I don't, but that's just because I prefer controllers that don't feel like an escape room. The success of its software lineup is easy to understand, and there are even moments when the Sega Genesis briefly overtook Nintendo in market share. This brief period made the Genesis the most popular console in the world, and for good reason. Sega Dreamcast.
This is the day you have trained for. The day you have studied for. Utilize your superior skills. Your superior intelligence.
Sit down, rodent!
Sarah, baby! Oh, you were one fly. Don't make me hurt.
Despite its relatively short lifespan, the Sega Dreamcast was the first console of the 6th generation, preceding the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox. Released in 1998, it hit stores more than 2 years before these mammoths, giving it time to soak the attention of gamers. And obviously, it was the release of the PS2 which contributed to its untimely demise in 2001. The Dreamcast sought a broader audience by offering quality software and introducing several technological innovations. It became the first console to feature a built-in modem for online play, allowing users to connect globally. Nintendo 64.
Well, Santa smells Christmas really stunk. I got nothing that I like, my gifts were all just junk. Boxes full of clothes, CDs no one knows.
We're well and truly into the pointy end, and it's getting harder and harder to rank these consoles because they're all as good as it gets, and just when you think you've decided which is better, a beautiful memory of the other pops into your mind. It's truly the hardest list I've ever done. The N64 boasted several major hardware innovations and housed some of the biggest and most beloved games of its generation, and it's made it a contender for best console of all time. But still, 7th place is pretty good. The The N64 kicked off with a bang, featuring the highly sensitive analog stick and rumble pack, as well as the genre-defining platformer Super Mario 64, which remains one of the greatest and most influential video games ever made. Despite these triumphs, the N64 never came close to matching the popularity of its rival, the PlayStation, which outsold it more than 3-1. That being said, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie. Checkmate.
Here we go!
PlayStation.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Pack up your stuff!
Speak of the devil, not only did the PlayStation help pave the way for Microsoft's entry into the market in the next generation, but it also played a key role in transitioning the industry to disc-based media and introduced the iconic DualShock controller, whose design remains a standard to this day. The PlayStation was part of the generation that moved gaming from the 2D era into the 3D realm, a shift that continues to shape gaming today. The PlayStation's library of original titles is essentially a chronicle of gaming history, introducing landmark franchises like Metal Gear Solid, Gran Turismo, Resident Evil, and Tony Hawk, which remain some of the most prominent names in the industry. Without the PlayStation, many of the genres we now take for granted may never have emerged, and just for that, I love you, PlayStation. Also, I think you single-handedly ruined my grades in primary school. Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The true console wars began in 1991 with the release of the Super Nintendo. With its 16-bit graphics and a superior standalone sound card, Nintendo set itself apart from the competition with content like Super Mario World, Super Metroid, and Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Also F-Zero, Mario Kart, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Gladius 2, Contra 3, Mega Man 10, some secret. Look, it's a lot of games. Few consoles, if any, can boast such a rich library of AAA titles. The SNES not only dominated in hardware and software, but also set a new bar for what could be achieved in gaming. I mean, the SNES controller alone paved the way for the now standard 4-button face seen on PlayStation and Xbox controllers. Xbox 360.
Fridge for college? Get a free ice tray. Or buy a PC for college. Get a free Xbox 360.
As the first high-definition game console, the Xbox 360 marked a significant milestone in gaming hardware history. It brought the shift to crisp, high-definition graphics featuring advanced shading and physics effects that were previously only seen in PCs. Additionally, the Xbox 360 was the first console to introduce an integrated wireless controller system, eliminating the need for external dongles used in earlier systems. With its robust online features, the Xbox 360 significantly increased the longevity of the console, providing endless opportunities for optimization, feature expansions, and improvements. Xbox 360 may well have been the all-time most important console for the industry, and I never even owned the damn thing.
Did enjoy that.
Nice house!
Nintendo Switch.
This cake is going to be so good. It is going to be lemon cake. Come on.
Yes! You want to crack some eggs?
Sure.
The Switch, building on the Wii U's two-screen concept, takes it a step further by making its built-in HD display fully portable. This makes the Switch a remarkably versatile home console, effortlessly transitioning from local multiplayer in the living room to on-the-go play. It cleverly combines the innovation of the Wii with the portability of the Game Boy. We can brush over this, but let's talk about how incredible the innovation was combining Nintendo home consoles with a Game Boy. Dude, that shit rocks. Its standout titles include The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Animal Crossing: New Horizons, Super Mario Odyssey, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The Switch is truly beloved by all. No haters, only lovers. PlayStation 2.
The gospel train is a-comin', I hear it just at hand. I hear the car wheels moving and a rumbling through the land. Oh, get
The PlayStation 2, with over 130 million units sold by the end of 2008, holds the title of the best-selling video game console of all time. This achievement speaks volumes about its impact on the gaming industry and its widespread appeal. The The PlayStation 2's unparalleled dominance, impressive technical capabilities, and familiar development environment empowered studios worldwide to unleash their creativity. This era birthed iconic mainstream blockbusters like Grand Theft Auto, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, Gran Turismo, Burnout, and Ratchet & Clank, whilst also showcasing unique gems like Shadow of the Colossus and Okami. Additionally, games like Guitar Hero and SingStar turned the PS2 into a go-to platform for post-pub entertainment for an entire generation. Does anyone have a fonder memory than on the PS2? Surely not. Nintendo Entertainment System.
The one to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System. The one to play with Rob, the extraordinary video robot. Batteries.
Before 1985, in the US, Nintendo was already a strong presence in arcades, with Donkey Kong and dominating the toy aisles with its Game & Watch handhelds. However, the home console industry had all but vanished after the market crash, and the words video game had a negative connotation. Nintendo aimed to change that with the release of the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. The company had already found massive success with the Famicom in Japan, released in 1983, and after 2 years, it was time to bring that success overseas. The Famicom was reworked with a sleeker, more Western-friendly design, and the NES was born. The NES wouldn't tolerate unlicensed games. Every title had to be approved by Nintendo, and third-party developers were limited to producing a set number of games per year, with exclusivity clauses preventing games from being released on competing systems for 2 years. The NES wasn't going to be responsible for another industry crash, and this care and attention is what made it the greatest console of all time. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.